and welcome Dave on the stage. You're our first Canadian speaker on the European Stripecon, and you will tell us about a module which looks very nice. After that, we will have the closing session. The stage is yours.
All right. Hi. Yeah, I work for a company called Evans Hunt in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We are a full-service marketing agency, but we're very much a digital-first marketing agency. I've been working here for 3 years. Started in 2018, so 3.5 years. I'm a senior developer. Before Evans Hunt, I had never heard of, or I'd heard of SilverStripe, but I'd never worked with it. But I have done a lot of work and with it now, and we consider ourselves a platform agnostic dev team. So we don't only work in SilverStripe, but when it comes to someone who has a need for a sort of traditional CMS or solution, SilverStripe is our go-to solution, and we have a good number of people experienced in SilverStripe on the team. But prior to coming to Evans Hunt, I did a lot of WordPress work, and so some of that experience actually informs the module I want to talk about today. So it's the module is called LazyFocusFit. This is the name comes from the implementation of some other modules that I make use of in doing this. LazySizes, JS, FocusPoint, which is a SilverStripe module, and Fit refers to the object fit feature of CSS. Basically, I wanted to just streamline packing a bunch of things we like to do with images into an easy-to-use API and some template methods that I can do without having to rethink this every time I'm adding a new image template. This came out of a project I built 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and has been refined on multiple projects since. And then about a month ago, I decided, okay, this thing has been retooled enough times that I can roll it into a module by itself. And that's been a lot of the stuff I've been doing at Evans Hunt lately, is trying to identify some of our reused code and package them up nicely, not just SilverStripe, but elsewhere. We have a internal front-end SaaS mix-in library as well that I spent a lot of time on last year. But anyway, part of this actually ties right into the conversation previous about lazy loading and responsive images. And there is a solution baked in here. It is a somewhat opinionated solution. This module is not going to work for everybody, but we find it useful enough to install it on a lot of projects. So again, I worked previously in WordPress, and I generally am not a big WordPress fan, but I was getting work doing it. But one neat feature of WordPress that I do appreciate is this get attachment image source set method in WordPress. In WordPress, there are several predefined image size defaults. When you upload an image, it gets resized to all of the predefined, the built-in predefined images, and then any custom image sizes you have defined and passed to WordPress. And so all of these images are stored in WordPress, so you can automatically generate a source set string. Again, if you're familiar with the responsive images, that is image tags with source set, and then picture tags, which use multiple sources, and an image tag with source set as well, so that you can offload to the browser decision which of your many supplied image sources you can use. So WordPress has some built-in functionality around this, where you can pass a bit of information in and generate a source set string. And in previous WordPress builds I've built tooling around this, such that I can do just neat stuff like passing a sizes string, and I pass in the smallest size image, and then it generates a source set. It generates the entire image markup for me, including all other images that have the same aspect ratio, so that I can pump out responsive images with relative ease and not putting too much extra into the template other than what is specific to this particular image. And so a project we started on a couple of years ago at Evans Hunt, the need was to have something very image focused. We wanted to be able to deliver retina image. We wanted to be able to, but still, size to the screen. Because it was for an architecture agency, and this is the website. Their page where they showcase some of their work, and so it's very image forward. Style over performance in some case was the desire here, and so we wanted to deliver the best performance we could. We wanted to be able to deliver high quality images, but also be considerate about the responsive stuff. So I wanted to be able to output these multiple source sets of images, but we also wanted to leverage some other tools, including the LazySizes JavaScript library, which, if you're not familiar with, it is a JavaScript library that does lazy loading, does responsive imaging, and kind of instead of the browser doing it and the browser making those decisions for you, it's the JavaScript library that does it, which allows you to do it even on browsers that don't support lazy loading, which I believe is Safari and Internet Explorer, and as well as not. I think IE does support the source set. But it basically, this JavaScript library takes that over for you. And one thing you can do with this library is, as suggested here, you can pass the default source as a very low resolution image, and then this is, rather than the source. This is data source, but you can also use data source set. So you can pass a default image that on first paint with the browser is going to load something very low resolution, which helps you page loads faster, but gets something in place rather than just a white box, or rather than having a repaint with a reflow. You can get something low resolution in there, and then upscale. Let the library decide which of your several image sources to upscale to. And then you can pass source set strings indicating the width and the various URLs to those things. It operates very much like the HTML spec of the source set, but uses this data source set to offload that to JavaScript. Another library we find very handy is the FocusPoint library for SilverStripe, which allows you to set a focal point on an image so that any crops that happen, make sure that they keep the important part of the image in the center, because by default cropping will happen on the center of the image, which isn't always the most important part. So, and then what this provides for you on the back end, once a CMS user has selected a focal point, is it provides you some percentage values, which can be used for things like object position using the object fit API in CSS. So all of this stuff means a bunch of extra stuff I need to put in my image tags or in my LazySizes also can be made to work with background images, which is a place where we don't necessarily have responsive sizing and lazy loading in the browser natively, but LazySizes can actually add those features to background images as well. So again, this is a bunch of extra markup that I don't want to have to rewrite every time I write an image template. So I rolled up these tools as a SilverStripe module in order to be able to do that, built right in. See here. So I've got a SilverStripe project running locally here, and for some reason I'm getting a white screen. That's not good. Oh, I know what happened. Sorry, this is the fun part of live demos. Knocked out the content of this to make less noise in the template I was working on, but that also knocked out my login screen. Oh, that is the wrong browser. Of course, Google doesn't like that I'm using admin password as my login string. Anyway, I've added a lazy image field to my page template. This is just out of the box SilverStripe install. And then I've got my home. I've output it to several places in my homepage template using several of these methods I've defined in my image extension. So yeah, if you install Composer install Evans Hunt LazyFocusFit, it automatically extends the image model and adds a couple of extra, a handful of methods you can call on the image to generate this markup. And that's, oh, why do I keep going back to Safari? I've got too many browsers open. So I've tried to document that here. This is publicly available module, github.com, Evans Hunt LazyFocusFit. So there's three primary methods. Responsive image outputs an image tag, responsive picture outputs a picture tag, and then responsive BG attributes outputs not an entire HTML tag, but just a string of attributes that you can apply to any other HTML tag to make use of a background image. So again, I've done that several times here. I've got LazyFocusFit in my composer. I've got some basic styles defined for my markup, and I have my homepage, which I have not activated the LazySizes plugin deliberately to show that on first paint I'm rendering some very low resolution images. By default, actually, it's hard coded at this point. One of my to-dos for this module is to make this configurable, but it is outputting an image that is 32 pixels wide on first paint. But if I go ahead and start loading, this is the LazySizes plugin. Then I should get nicely full resolution images here. This is a picture of my city, Calgary, Alberta, not too far from my house. Not my photo, I stole it off the internet. But as you can see here, we've got this is the background image in our banner block. I believe this is an image tag. This is a picture tag, and this is a image that is using some object fit styles to operate much like a background image. But as we can see, it crops on the center of the image. So if you've not used the FocusPoint module before, go into the image, and everything's running slow for me because I'm running too many things. And you can see that the focal point is by default in the center of the image. You can't adjust it from this screen, but you can click into the details screen and select a focus point here and publish that change. So I'm going to get something in the downtown skyline. then I should reload the page, and my focal point should have changed. Now I'm seeing the downtown skyline. It's cropping very nicely, and then the object fit and the background image are being positioned. They're not actually cropped. The full image is there, but they are being positioned according to those object position properties set by the focal point module. These other two are being cropped according to the position set by the focal point module. So back to the code, just to demonstrate a bit of what's going on here. Again, I've got a responsive image method. I'm at the first argument is a CSS class, and then 3 different sizes. These are all widths. You just specify the width, and then the crop is going to be according to the size of the image. And then that outputs the markup with 3 different sizes available. And you can take a look. At the markup here, and we can see we've got several long markup strings using the responsive image syntax, 1024 width, 800 width, 600 width, and LazySizes. LazySizes library does allow you to set a sizes attribute. Currently, I have this module set to use data sizes auto, which just means I'm not controlling the sizes. I'm just telling the library to make the decision for me which image to use according to the layout on the screen. Back to the code. We also have responsive picture. This one uses slightly more complex syntax. This one says working from largest to smallest, it's going to, at 992 pixels, it's going to produce a 770 pixel wide image. You can use other responsive image syntax to say that at 1x pixel density, I'll produce a 770 pixel wide image, and at 2x pixel density, so for Retina screens, I can produce a 1440 pixel image, and then this will generate that, and then it's going to let the library decide which one to use. There's a couple other helper methods I've added to this. FocusPoint and default and SilverStripe images have crop methods built in, but they're crop width, crop height. Often when it comes to layout, I'm thinking in terms of aspect ratio. So I've got this add aspect ratio method where I can just call, I can just define an aspect ratio, and that's why that image is cropped the way it is. It's 4:1 aspect ratio. Any of these helper methods that this library uses need to be called before the responsive image or responsive picture call to produce correct markup. I've also got an object fit method, which by default is going to be help to use object fit cover. Well, what this does is make sure is that it defines object position within the style tag. You would still have to define within your style the actual object fit style within your style sheets. But what this also does is add some additional data attributes to make use of the object fit polyfill which is a JavaScript library that can be used to force IE 11 to do object fit. And so that's baked into this. If you're not using that polyfill, it's just an extra data attribute that you can ignore. But in order to make that work, you do have to be, it has to be data object fit cover, which is if you just call object fit without any arguments, that's what you get. But you can also pass in contain or any of the other object fit options if you would like to use that alternate thing, that alternate object fit property. And then we have the responsive BG attributes method, which operates the exact same way as the responsive picture method, rather than separately defining a class name on this this element, I've chosen to keep the class name argument in there just so that just to keep the syntax the same and to allow you to define all the attributes. There are additional methods if you want to define for the picture and image. If you want to define specific attributes on the image tag, you can call add attributes and pass in a key value pair. For the picture, which is actually 2 elements, is the picture and the picture wrapped around an image tag. If you call add attribute before responsive picture, it'll add attribute to the wrapping picture element. If you call add img attributes, it will add those attributes to the image within the picture element. And so this has been successfully used on a handful of sites for us already, and I do find it quite useful. It saves us a lot of time in sort of rebuilding this in every template that we produce. Again, it's available on GitHub. Invite you to check it out. Bug me if you find an issue with it, or even submit a PR. Again, it's a rather opinionated library to do things the way we like to do it, but I think it may be useful for others as well. And I know I've sort of rushed over it, but if there's any questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. Very interesting. Oh, there's a question. It was very soon. Can you read the question?
Yeah. So, is it possible to template override block.js? So, I mean, you would just not call. I mean, if you're trying to do it, I guess not entirely sure the question. So, like, I still in my code am loading up. I've still got an index.js that imports LazySizes, and that runs from there. So you wouldn't necessarily have to import LazySizes. The markup automatically generates the lazy load class, so that LazySizes looks for it, but you wouldn't have to run the JavaScript. I want to make this work without LazySizes. I want to make this just output source sets rather than the data source sets. I'd like that option to be in there. I haven't had time to do that yet because for any given project that I've wanted to use this on, I've been using LazySizes, so I just haven't got around to that.
Yeah, great. But the module is very interesting. Responsive images are a thing that's not really solved in SilverStripe, and I'm always doing some manual stuff in the template. But this looks very handy. Yeah, thank you for your talk. Next year, we hope that we are not virtual, but we will try to have it hybrid so that you can join and maybe tell us more about SilverStripe happening in Canada. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.